Hello, thank you for joining me in this recorded presentation. Our session is titled Elevating Cognition and Literacy Through Technology in the Classroom, and we'll be exploring how technology can transform the learning experience for our adult learners. Our goal for today is to understand how integrating technology with the SAMR model and Bloom's taxonomy can elevate learning experiences and enhance students' cognitive skills. Let's take a quick look at today's agenda to see how we'll be exploring technology integration in adult education. First, we'll start with an introduction, where we'll look at the broad impact technology has on adult learning. We'll discuss how technology is transforming classrooms and why it's especially important for adult learners. Next, we'll move into assessing your use of technology. This section is all about evaluating the ways that you're currently using technology in your classroom. We'll focus on aligning your technology choices with your educational goals to ensure that each tool truly supports learning outcomes. And finally, we'll dive into elevating your practice. Here, we'll explore strategies to move beyond basic integration, advancing towards more transformative uses of technology in teaching. I'll introduce the SAMR model, a framework that helps us think about the progression of technology integration, from simply enhancing tasks to fundamentally redefining the learning experience. By the end of our session, you'll have a clearer sense of where your current practices fall on the technology integration spectrum and leave with actionable ideas to elevate your use of technology in the classroom. Let's get started with our introduction, recognizing the impact of technology on adult learning. I want you to consider two important questions. How can technology enhance the learning experience for adult learners? How would the learning experience differ without access to technology? As we reflect on these, let's take a look at a quick visual contrast. First, imagine relying solely on an old book as your source of information, limited in scope and unable to adapt to your needs. Now, compare that to the dynamic learning made possible through technology, where information is accessible anytime, anywhere, through devices like computers and phones. Let's revisit the two questions we posed earlier and connect them to the visuals we just saw, the old book versus the modern technology. First, consider the limitations of relying on a single book. It offers only a narrow slice of information, restricting what can be learned or explored. Imagine being confined to just one resource with no way to go beyond its pages. It's a static, one-dimensional experience that doesn't adapt to the learner's needs. Next, think about engagement. With static materials, there's no way to interact with the information. You can't search, ask questions, or explore related topics. This limits curiosity and reduces opportunities for deeper learning or collaboration. And lastly, communication and collaboration are slower in a non-technology environment. Sharing ideas, accessing new information, or building knowledge together is much harder when resources are static and isolated. This can lead to frustration and lower motivation. And now let's contrast this with the possibilities technology creates. Personalization. Technology allows learners to explore any topic at their own pace, tailored to their unique interests and goals, rather than being confined to a single resource. Flexibility. With digital tools, learning can happen anytime and anywhere, making it easier for busy adult learners to fit education into their lives. Interactivity. Technology provides engaging, dynamic experiences through multimedia content, collaboration tools, and real-time feedback, enabling learners to connect, create, and grow. In short, technology transforms learning into a richer, more accessible, and far more engaging experience, breaking down barriers that once limited access to information. In this next section, we're going to assess our use of technology and how technology can support our learning goals. I want you to take a minute to answer the following question. You can put it on a scrap piece of paper or use an app on your phone or device, or even just take a minute to think about this question in your mind. In what ways have you used technology to enhance the learning experience for adult learners? Please pause this video while you answer the question. Now, let's shift our focus to how we approach technology in relation to our learning goals. On the screen, you'll see an arrow from goals to tools. This illustrates an important point. Our starting place should always be the goals we have for our learners, not the tools themselves. Think back to the beginning of a learning experience that you've planned. It could be a specific lesson, unit, or even a skill you wanted to develop in your learners. And ask yourself, what was the goal of that experience? Was it driven primarily by technology? Or was it centered around the content or skills learners needed to master? It's easy to be drawn to new technology, but it's essential to reflect on whether tech tools align with your goals or if it's simply the most straightforward path to get there. Sometimes a simpler approach might be the most effective for a particular goal. Other times, the tool can help us enhance learning in ways we couldn't otherwise achieve. In short, technology should serve our learning goals, not drive them. And this helps us stay focused on what learners truly need, rather than getting sidetracked by the latest tools or trends. So, as we think about integrating technology into our teaching, it's important to remember that technology alone isn't guaranteed to improve the learning experience. What we need to consider is how we can use technology not just to transform learning, but also to enhance it in meaningful ways. Simply using a digital tool doesn't necessarily mean the experience will be more effective. Instead, when we thoughtfully match technology with the specific learning skills our students need to develop, what we see is when we see real benefits. This is where technology becomes a powerful tool to enhance learning, build essential skills, and ultimately support cognitive growth. By focusing on the skills that foster digital literacy, whether it's research skills, critical thinking, or collaborative abilities, we can use technology to make the learning experience richer and more effective for adult learners. Part 3, elevating your practice, going beyond technology integration to improve skills and development and cognition.
Every day, teachers are designing activities to target higher-order thinking skills in order to engage students in rich learning experiences. But integrating technology adds a whole new layer to teaching and learning. How can technology transform your learning design? Dr. Ruben Puentedura developed the SAMR model as a way for teachers to evaluate how they are incorporating technology into their instructional practice. You can use SAMR to reflect upon how you are integrating technology into your classroom. Is it an act of substitution, augmentation, modification, or redefinition? Dr. Puentedura likens his model to moving up a ladder. The model includes a dotted line that represents the threshold where you shift from using technology to enhance learning to using it to transform learning. Transforming learning promotes higher order thinking skills, such as analyzing, evaluating, and creating, which are essential to Common Core state standards and 21st century learning. So, how can you teach above the line? Let's take a look at an example of a classroom task and how it evolves through the lens of SAMR. In substitution, technology acts as a direct tool substitute with no real functional change to the task. For example, take creative writing. What if you had students write a story using a word processing program? In this case, students are substituting a handwritten story for a typed story. The task is the same with no real change in student engagement. In augmentation, technology still substitutes, but with some functional improvement. What if you took the same creative writing assignment and had students use a word processing program? They could use features such as spell check and tools for formatting. Again, the story writing task is the same, but the technology augments it with enhanced productivity. In modification, technology should allow for significant task redesign. Take the same creative writing assignment and have students use Google Docs to write their stories. Students can then share these stories with peers and provide real-time feedback. Here, technology has significantly modified the original task by introducing the benefits of student collaboration. At the top stage, redefinition, technology allows for the creation of entirely new tasks that were previously inconceivable. What if students transform their written stories into multimedia productions? After creating storyboards, students film scenes, edit clips, and add music. They can publish the videos and receive feedback from voices across the globe. In this case, technology redefines the story writing task to include media creation, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. So, how can you use SAMR to reflect upon transforming your learning design? Puentedura offers reflection questions to help you move up the SAMR ladder and shift how you are designing learning experiences. For instance, ask yourself, what will I gain by replacing the older technology with the new technology? Have I added an improvement to the task process that could not be accomplished with the older technology at a fundamental level? Does this modification fundamentally depend upon the new technology? How is the new task uniquely made possible by the new technology? These are just a few of the questions you can ask yourself as you evaluate the design of a classroom task, and consider that not all technology integration is created equal. Ultimately, SAMR can help you evaluate your use of technology and design tasks that target higher order thinking skills, engage students in rich learning experiences, and impact student achievement.
Now that we've watched an overview of the SAMR model, let's break down its purpose and structure. The SAMR model was developed by Dr. Ruben Puentedura to help educators think about the different roles technology can play in the classroom. It provides a framework for assessing how technology is being used, from basic enhancement to complete transformation of the learning experience. The model has 4 levels, each representing a different way technology can support or transform learning. Substitution and augmentation fall under the category of enhancement. These levels involve using technology to improve or replace existing tasks in a way that adds some value but stays close to the traditional approach. Modification and redefinition fall under transformation. These levels go beyond enhancement, using technology to create new learning experiences that were previously unimaginable. The SAMR model encourages us us to reflect on where our technology use falls within these categories and to consider opportunities moving from enhancement to true transformation whenever possible. As we explore ways to elevate learning, it's helpful to see how the SAMR model aligns with Bloom's taxonomy. Each model offers different but complementary perspectives on enhancing learning experiences. Bloom's taxonomy focuses on the cognitive processes that students engage in as they learn. It's organized in a hierarchy from basic tasks like recalling information to more complex, higher order skills like evaluating and creating. Bloom's is widely used to design and assess learning objectives, helping us ensure that lessons target multiple cognitive levels. The SAMR model, on the other hand, focuses on technology integration in education. It describes a progression from enhancing learning with technology to transforming it, where Bloom's helps us think about the kinds of thinking and understanding we want to foster. SAMR helps us consider how technology can support or transform these learning goals. In the classroom, Bloom's guides us in structuring lessons to move students from foundational knowledge to higher level thinking skills. Meanwhile, SAMR helps us assess how we use technology, not only to support these cognitive levels, but to potentially create deeper, more engaging learning experiences. By aligning these models, we can design activities that both build cognitive skills and make the most of technology's potential to enhance or transform how students engage with the content. Let's start by looking at the first level of the SAMR model, substitution. At this level, technology acts as a direct replacement for a traditional tool, with no significant change in the function or the way that we interact with the task. The content and objectives remain the same. We're simply swapping one tool for another. For example, instead of using paper and pencil to write an assignment, students could use a Google Doc. Here, the technology substitutes the original tool, allowing students to type instead of handwrite their work. And while this can be convenient and may make sharing or saving the work easier, it doesn't fundamentally change the learning experience. Substitution is often a good entry point for technology integration, but it's just the beginning of what technology can offer. As we move up the SAMR model, we'll see how technology can add a new layer of engagement and possibility. Next, we have augmentation, the second level of the SAMR model. At this stage, technology isn't just replacing a traditional tool. It's enhancing it with added functionality that makes the task more efficient or engaging. An example of augmentation is having students create a resume in Google Docs and then share it with a peer for editing or review. This goes beyond simply typing on a document. Features like auto-saving ensure that students won't lose their work, and sharing and commenting tools allow for real-time feedback and collaboration, something not possible with paper alone. This level supports deeper learning by allowing students to interact with the task in a way that's more engaging and efficient. It also helps bridge basic and transformative uses of technology, preparing students to engage in more complex, tech-driven activities as we move up the SAMR model. The third level of the SAMR model is modification. At this level, technology allows us to significantly redesign tasks, transforming the way students interact with the content. For example, Instead of simply writing down potential career ideas, students can use Google search to access websites like ONET Online to research jobs, required skills, and potential career paths that align with their experience. This gives them direct access to an interactive database, allowing for a much richer and more tailored exploration of career options. With modification, we're no longer just enhancing the task. We're using technology to change it in ways that encourage creativity and collaboration. Students aren't just engaging with the information, they're actively seeking, analyzing, and applying it in a dynamic, real world context. This fundamentally changes how they experience the task, elevating their learning experience beyond what would be possible without technology. The final level of the SAMR model is redefinition. At this level, technology enables us to create entirely new tasks, activities that would have been impossible without it. This stage truly transforms the learning experience. For example, imagine students preparing for job interviews. Instead of simply practicing in pairs in the classroom, they could conduct mock interviews over Google Meet with peers or mentors, asking and answering questions aligned with their actual job search. This not only prepares them for a real world scenario, but also helps them practice using digital tools that they may encounter in the workplace. Redefinition fosters innovation by encouraging students to explore, create, and solve problems in entirely new ways. It maximizes the potential of technology, not just to support traditional learning, but to introduce unique and impactful experiences that elevate students' skills and confidence. At this level, technology becomes a true partner in learning, allowing us to design experiences that are more interactive, relevant, and transformative. Let's walk through some examples of how SAMR might fit into various courses. Here are the examples we just reviewed as a part of career development. Note the one change that was made in redefinition. For this example, in a career development course, students conduct mock job interviews using Google Meet or could conduct a virtual job shadow using virtual reality. We have created several different examples of how the SAMR model might fit into different subject areas. For example, in ESL reading and writing lessons, substitution might look like access to the latest change agent issue in a PDF format on the computer. For augmentation, students use Read and Write Picture Dictionary, which is a Google Chrome plugin, for help understanding unfamiliar words. Students collaborate in real time in Google Docs on writing or editing and commenting on assignments in an example of modification. And lastly, an example of redefinition might be students using their writing to create an illustrated storybook using Canva. In ESL speaking and listening lessons, substitution could be when students use a voice recorder app for speaking and listening drills. For augmentation, students may listen to a recording on reading skills for today and answer comprehension questions. Modification may be when students create and narrate a collaborative storytelling project in Canva. And redefinition could be students collaborating on writing projects using read and write speech to text feature, dictating their parts of the project and editing together in real time. Examples of the SAMR model in a high school completion course may look like substitution, happening when students use Desmos scientific calculator for basic operations. Augmentation might look like students practicing math problems on Khan Academy with instant feedback. Modification may be when students use Google Sheets to collect and analyze data for a project. And redefinition could be when students create and explore complex graphs using Desmos. Examples of SAMR in citizenship preparation may look like substitution, happening when students use Quizlet to view vocabulary and key concepts. For augmentation, students complete interactive lessons and quizzes on USA Learns. Modification may be when students create and present slideshows on US history or government with Google Slides. And redefinition could be when students participate in a mock citizenship interviews conducted in Zoom. Here, we revisit the alignment between SAMR and Bloom's taxonomy, two completely complementary frameworks that work together to support both cognitive development and thoughtful technology integration. Next, we see progression in both models. Bloom's taxonomy takes students from basic recall to higher order thinking, while SAMR moves from enhancing to transforming learning through technology. Together, they guide us in designing learning experience that gradually increase in both cognitive challenge and technological complexity. Ultimately, using both models to create a holistic approach by aligning SAMR and Bloom's taxonomy, we can design lessons that build essential cognitive skills while strategically leveraging technology to deepen learning. This integrated approach supports not only student engagement, but also long-term skill development and critical thinking. Now, let's put what we've learned into practice with a quick challenge. On the screen, you'll see an example of an activity. I would like each of you to take a moment to think about it and identify where you believe this activity may fall within the SAMR model. Consider which of the four levels, substitution, augmentation, modification, or redefinition, best aligns with the way technology is used in this example. This exercise will help reinforce how to classify activities within the SAMR model and also think more intentionally about our technology choices. After a moment, I'll show you the best answer. Example 1, using a Google Doc to type up an essay instead of writing it by hand. If you said substitution, you would be correct. Example 2, creating a multimedia presentation using Canva to enhance a book report with images, videos, and text. If you said modification, you are correct. Example 3, using an online quiz like Quizlet to review vocabulary terms. If you said augmentation, you would be correct. Example 4, conducting a mock job interview via Zoom with the session recorded for later review and feedback. If you said redefinition, you are correct. Let's take a minute to pause for quick reflection. First, in what ways have you used technology to enhance the learning experience for adult learners? I posed this question at the beginning of this presentation. Now, consider what you might have written down at the start of this presentation. Secondly, how could you use technology to promote higher order thinking skills and shift your use of technology to target higher levels of the SAMR model in this lesson? And lastly, when thinking about the lesson, what potential challenges would limit reaching higher levels of technology with your adult learners? Let's focus on these two questions in particular. If you're struggling to answer these questions, you may want to consider using AI, or artificial intelligence, to help you brainstorm ways to implement technology into your lesson. For example, you can describe an activity you use in the classroom and ask AI, for example, ChatGPT, to adapt it by implementing technology in the activity. But be sure to include the name of the application for best results. Secondly, if you're coming across potential challenges that might limit your ability to reach higher levels of the SAMR model, you might want to list the classroom or learner's language or academic level, digital skill level, and goals. Be sure to ask AI for suggestions on activities that might build digital literacy. AI works best when it has context to align to these activities. This concludes this first part of our presentation. If you need additional support, please reach out to Digital ATDN. At Digital ATDN, we offer tech support and implementation strategy sessions. Please feel free to reach out for us to schedule a session or to ask any questions.